Josh Project Man. Today we're back again with another video. This is going to be our review from WWE's Backlash 2025. We're gonna go get straight into this thing. It's probably not gonna be a long review because I was working while it was happening. Like I was watching it, but I was like doing stuff while I was watching it, so I can't give like a thorough review. But from what I have gathered from their memory, what they have gotten from their brain, what they have gotten from my cerebral cortexes, is where I'm gonna do this, or is how I should say I'm gonna do this review. But here we go. Match number one started off with the United States Championship. It was Jacob Fatu, the champion, versus LA Knight, versus Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. And look, when I think LA Knight's entrance was first, and I was like, oh wow, they're starting with the US title match, the one I felt was going to be match of the night. As far as just like move for move and entertainment wise, I was like, this is going to be match of the night. And I would like to think that I was 100% correctamundo. You know what I'm saying? I ended up being right, bro. I gave this match, I think I gave it a 9 out of 10. And yeah, these guys just freaking killed it, man. You know, everybody had their chance to shine. There was times where LA Knight had his chance to shine with the hitting the LA Knight, hitting the elbow on Jacob Fatu while he was standing up, and then hitting one while he was sitting down or while he was laid out. And Drew hit a couple of moves himself, and Priest hit a couple of moves himself. Jacob hit a couple of moves. I can't really call it move for move. You know, you got to watch it for yourself. But the most notable thing that happened in this match was Damian Priest hit his set out choke slam, the South of Heaven. It was like out where the crowd was, and it was through like some, I think it was like 2 tables or something like that. So he jumped off the top of a production crate and then, got him through the table. So that eliminated them from the match. And LA Knight had Jacob Fatu as the crowd was chanting Fatu. Yeah, the crowd, I will say St. Louis was live, man. I will say they were energetic the whole night. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to say they're, maybe the level of Puerto Rico or Backlash, France. But they did keep that energy that is needed for what we've been getting these last 2 years with Backlash. So they definitely kept the energy up there, St. Louis. So this match, they were going crazy. I think it was like 3 separate times they said like, this is awesome and everything. And so like I said, the finish was LA Knight was about to do a elbow drop through the table where you jump from where the ring is through the announce table, and he was about to do that to Jacob, and suddenly Solo pulls him out of the way, and it's like, Solo Sikoa gets in the way of things. And then as I think LA was going to go after him, he gets attacked by Jeffrey Cobb. Or every time I've seen his name, I've always said Cobb Salad. Just because Cobb, but he gets attacked by Jeff Cobb. I think from what I don't know a lot about him. I've seen the name, maybe him hit a move or two, but I'm not going to act like I've seen a full match or anything. But apparently he is from, TNA, New Japan, different wrestling promotions he's wrestled before. And I think he is indeed Samoan, or at least Pacific Islander, you know what I'm saying? So basically he comes in, attacks LA Knight, throws him into the post and throws him back to the ring. And then Jacob's kind of looking kind of confused. And I think the finish was he hit that running, booty bomb where they run their backside into the corner to hit the guy in the face in the corner. And then I think he did his mighty moonsault, the jump up to the top rope and hit the moonsault on LA Knight, and LA Knight ended up getting pinned for the 1, 2, 3, and Jacob retains his United States Championship. So I was wrong. Hello. Yo, gotta go to my setting just to make sure we good. Okay. I thought the mic went out I thought for a minute. Anyway, so yeah, this match I gave a 9 out of 10. It had carnage. The energy was up the whole time. Like, it started out hot, it never really just slowed down. So energy was hot in this match. Everybody was doing their thing and stuff like that. So gave it a 9 out of 10. Jeff Cobb, debuted here. So I guess he's going to be a part of the bloodline. Because funny enough, or not that funny, not like funny, but crazy enough, I should say, the Tongans, Tongaloa and Tamatonga, are both out. I think they're both actually out with injuries. So Solo said, I'm losing a little power here. It's only Solo and Jacob. So he brings in Jeff Cobb. And when he brought out Jeff Cobb, Jacob wasn't like happy or pleasant or was like, okay, like this part of the plan or, oh, Solo, I like what you came up with here right there. Now he was more like, the hell you doing, man? Why he here? Even if I know, whether I know him or not, don't even matter. Like, why he here, folk? You know what I'm saying? And he got that confused look on his face, but he knows he got to get in there and retain the championship. So there's going to be some story there, about where Jeff Cobb came from and, who he is and why Solo brought him in, other than the fact that, yes, he is losing, some people, you know what I'm saying? What he's in there for, is he there to replace Jacob? So we don't know what role Jeff Cobb is going to play, but it at least leads to you to go question something, you know what I'm saying? But this bloodline story can go on forever. It don't matter if they're related or not. But anyway, that would be an interesting story they can tell over the next couple weeks. But by this point, I was 1-0 on predictions I had. So there's 5 matches I predicted before the pay-per-view PLE took place. I made a predictions video on who I thought would win each match. And we're going to keep going along, and you'll find out if I got them all right or some wrong. So we get into the next match. It was Lyra Valkyria, Miss Bird Girl. Woo! Sorry, that's her little song, and the crowd likes to woo in between the lines. Anyway, no Ric Flair shit. But anyway, Becky Lynch made her entrance, Lyra made her entrance, and I was thinking to myself, this was the only one I actually had concerns as far as like who would win this match, but I ended up predicting that Lyra would win this match, even though I wasn't going to be surprised if it ended up being Becky, so that maybe they can make the Intercontinental Women's Championship a little more prestigious by having her and Bayley, 2 top females, 4 horsewomen, you know what I'm saying, feuding over the championship, maybe gives it a little more attention and maybe gets it started. But in my predictions, or in my preview and predictions, I was like, maybe not, because then the only problem is if Becky ends up beating her, then it kind of makes it seem like you don't have trust in Lyra. Like, we don't trust this new talent we're trying to make you care about. We don't trust that she's enough of a star. We don't think that she's good enough to build this championship on her own, even though she's the first ever, Intercontinental Women's Champion. So that being said, the match was a solid match. Thought the finish could have been a little better. I think I gave this match a 7 out of 10, just cause, and I was ready to give it a 7 because sometimes when I'll watch a match, I'll kind of rate it as it's going on, and as it goes on, it gets bigger and better. I'll up the ranking as it goes along, and I was at that point where I was ready to give it a 7.5. It was really going well, solid match, and then it ended. Lyra kicked out of 2 manhandle slams, which is just Becky Lynch doing the rock bottom. That's her finisher. She kicked out of 2 of those. That was a pleasant surprise. Other things that happened, I think Lyra hit like a moonsault, and I don't think Lyra got to hit her finish. She got to hit one of her moves that she usually hits, but I don't think she got to hit her finisher, because the match ended with Becky. I know at one point she tried to cheat by holding the ropes down. The referee caught it, and then I know she had removed like the buckle pad while the referee was putting away the chair that Becky initially brought in. And then it ended with Becky trying to do a roll up on Lyra, and then Lyra reversed it and hit a roll up of her own. And that was it. And then that was it. So Lyra, as I was 2-0 on predictions by this point, Lyra got the job done with a roll up. Held her down for the 3 count, and then Becky attacked her a little bit. I think she put the disarmer in. That either happened in the match or after the match, or maybe both. But yeah, beat her up a little bit and then just got out of the ring. So no Bayley showing up as I thought may have happened, or as that's kind of maybe how they save face with Becky losing this match. But I was 2-0 on predictions. So yeah, like different officials came out there and stuff like that as Becky was beating her up, and then Becky just left. You know what I'm saying? So solid match. Could have had a little more of an exciting finish. Like I said, maybe if a Bayley would have showed up, that would have given it a little excitement. Not that I'm saying you always have to have somebody come in for an exciting finish like how we just did the first match, but maybe something that could have built up a little better. But 7 out of 10, it was a solid match. I figured they worked together well in the past, with them having with them, the first time they faced each other was in NXT when Becky was the NXT Women's Champion and Lyra beat her for it. But anyway, so that's technically 2-0 for me on predictions, but also Lyra is now 2-0 on Becky Lynch. That's crazy. Becky Lynch is like pretty much arguably the biggest star in the business for the females, and Lyra, this technically still up and coming rookie, has beaten her twice. But anyway, like I said, solid match. Don't know what I mean, they're obviously gonna have another match because Lyra got attacked, so maybe that's when we see Bailey get into the picture at some point. I'm not sure, because obviously this is what is ultimately centered around. So I'm not sure where this leads, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But hopefully they can continue to build up. Maybe they can make the feud a little more personal and stuff like that. Because that's the way you would level it up so that you could get people intrigued in a second match. But we'll see where it goes. I like that I'm not the biggest fan of Lyra because I just don't really understand the gimmick. Like when I'm hearing the promos, I'm not really understanding like what I'm supposed to think about when I hear the music, right? Like what am I supposed to think about of her as a personality, as a character? Not really sure there. But she's got room to grow. You know what I'm saying? But she's a personality, character, superstar. I don't really know what I'm supposed to think when I hear her music. That's the only thing there to me that would be my criticism. But I'm glad, but in that same breath, I'm glad that they have trust in her to build up this championship rather than going the typical route that someone like a Vince McMahon would have done if he was booking it, as far like just giving it to the big superstar you've already made rather than putting trust in the one you're trying to build up type of thing. But anyway, moving on, third match, and I figured when the U.S. title started the show, I was like, okay, yeah, one of the Intercontinental Championship matches is definitely gonna be second. They ain't putting Gunther and Pat second, and I was right. The other Intercontinental Championship match ended up being back-to-back Intercontinental Championship matches. This time for the men's side of things, and that was Dominic Mysterio, the champion, versus Penta. Another solid match. I gave it the same rating, a 7 out of 10, because it was nothing crazy. But I will say this, man. Crowd was into it. They were doing some Cero Miedos. They were doing some Let's Go Penta chants. And they were also doing a dirty, dirty Dom and dirty, dirty Dom. And they were also just chanting Dirty Dom in general. So they were for both guys. I think Dominic Mysterio, man, he was getting nuclear booed out of the building, and now it's the complete opposite. And I think part of that, other than him, I mean, he's a good heel. Like, he was a good heel, obviously, but it's like, I think part of it is also with them teasing that basically Finn might be, and they kind of teased it here again, of him not being, proud of Dominic and him having an issue with Dominic and stuff like that. I think them teasing that story over the last couple of months might also be a reason why the crowd is cheering for him. That may have garnered him a little bit of sympathy. But anyway, this match started off with, I think Penta hit a Hurricanrana on Dominic, and then Dominic retaliated, hit one, too. And crowd was actually cheering both guys here. That's the crazy thing. The crowd was cheering both guys here. They booed a little bit when Dominic didn't get to hit the Three Amigos because, Penta interrupted it after, I think, the first one. So there was that. Judgment Day had some interference in this match, and Penta did, and then they got sent out of the ring. Crowd was hyped for that when Judgment Day got banned from ringside, and when they all got mad and refused to leave, Penta then jumped over the referee and delivered that Tope Con Hilo, the little front flip over the top rope to take them all out. And the match ended with, I think Penta was going for a move off the top rope, and then I can't roll my R's. I can't even do it. God, man. El Grande, that's the best I'm gonna be able to do it. El Grande Americano, who we think is Chad Gable. We may be wrong, but he has the luchador mask, the American luchador mask, and he headbutts Penta. And the whole story there has been that El Grande Americano has had that metal piece in that he puts in his mask, because you obviously can't see it, right? So it's an easy weapon essentially to hide and use and stuff like that. But while the referee's back was turned, Grande Americano came there, headbutted Penta off the top rope because they've had some tension. And that was also, if it's Chad Gable, that was funny enough Penta's first match in the WWE. So that, and they kind of had some words backstage, talking a little bit of trash to each other. So he interferes in this match, and Dominic delivers a frog splash off the top and got the 1, 2, 3. And I was also 3-0 on predictions by this point. Dominic retains. Like I said, solid match. It didn't have a whole lot of importance behind it, but like I said, still a solid match. And there was really no doubt that, especially considering it was like Dom's first title defense, there was really no doubt in anybody's mind that same with Jacob, as it was a good bit of people's first title defense on this show. Cause then when we get to the main event, that was also a first time title defense. So all of these champions at this PLE Backlash were, they were all their first title defenses. So like they weren't losing. I think Lyra is actually the only one who it wasn't her first title defense at this PLE. Everybody else, it was like their first title defense, because, good bit of these people also won these championships. Actually, funny enough, everybody except Lyra won. Everybody who had a championship match on this card except for Lyra won their championship at WrestleMania, which was the last PLE before this one. But moving on, we get to a non-title match. This was actually the only non-title match on this card, and that was the co-main event, Gunther der General. You know what I'm saying? Gunther versus Pat McAfee. And the match, I think I gave it a 8. Did I give it a 8? I think I might have given it a 8. I think I gave it a somewhere like a 8. I think I'll put it there. I think that's fair. I'll give it about an 8. It was a situation where Pat, I felt Pat, from as far as like his performance, I felt Pat has had Pat McAfee, commentator, what I'm saying, with Michael Cole, who, was a, punter or a kicker in for the Colts at one point in time, what I'm saying? Yeah, NFL type shit. What I'm saying? Pat McAfee came in there. Crowd was dead. I mean, crowd was live for this whole match, man. They were really with Pat McAfee as the underdog babyface. So the commentary really got, or the Pat McAfee as a commentator has really gotten over with the people. So they love Pat and love his personality and can tell that his love for pro wrestling is genuine and real. He's a fan like all of us, right? So they really was, rooting for him in this match, man. St. Louis was hot for this match, man. They were intrigued really in every match. So you can't say they were a dead crowd, man. So anyway, Gunther goes against Pat McAfee, and it was a common story, right? He's chopping Pat McAfee, but Pat was chopping back too now. But Gunther, he just hits a little harder, and so a couple of chops on both people's ends, mainly on Gunther's end. He delivered a big boot to Pat McAfee maybe 2 or 3 times. I know there was a spot where Pat McAfee he was gonna make a comeback, right? Like he's throwing a forearm at Gunther, and he jumps over the top rope to get back in the ring, and like he tripped a little bit, but it happens, right? He jumped over the top rope, tripped a little bit, but just kept going, what I'm saying? 'Cause in that situation, you got to, keep going. So he's firing some shots at Pat McAfee. Another spot that happened was, I think Gunther had hit a couple of German suplexes on Pat McAfee, but then he was going to hit one off the top rope, and he knocked Gunther off the top and hit a moonsault and or backflip off the top rope where, the one where you land on your feet, right? You hit the moonsault on the guy that is like, but except he's not laying down. The guy you're hitting it on is standing up where he catches you, you fall down. But Pat McAfee ended up missing him. Gunther got out of the way. Pat landed on his feet. Gunther went for a German. Pat landed on his feet again. And I think then he ended up getting knocked back down with probably a clothesline or a chop out, because a couple of times that Gunther was trying to choke him out, Michael Cole had, because he's fending for his buddy, right? And Michael Cole gets up to the apron and he's like rooting for Pat. He's really trying to get him in there. And then I think at one point Michael Cole got in the ring and, Gunther grabbed a hold of him, and Pat, that was enough for Pat to, I think roll him up or something like that. And it didn't do the job, and I think Pat got knocked back down. Michael Cole got out of the ring, and then there was another spot where Gunther was distracted by Michael Cole on the outside of the ring, and it led to Pat rolling Gunther up. And as Gunther's getting rolled up, because referee's paying attention to the count, right? So as Gunther gets rolled up by Pat McAfee, he's obviously only focusing on Pat pinning Gunther, but while that's happening, while Gunther is getting rolled up, Michael Cole is holding Gunther's foot down because it's right close to the outside of the ring. So he's holding his foot down. So for a second, you like, wait a minute. Which I didn't, I maybe had a slight bit of thought, but I was like, yo, are they really going to have Gunther lose? Because it was literally Pat holding him down for the 3 count while Michael Cole's helping him by holding his foot down, right, to, nullify that power that he would have to kick out. And, Gunther ended up still kicking out. And I think Pat went to try to do something else, and ended up getting choked out again. But then he was able to get back up to his feet. You know what I'm saying? He's in the crowd. I mean, he was really doing it well. You know, teasing the arm being out and then fighting back. Got back up to his feet, but then it wasn't enough because Gunther wrenched back once again, and then that time was the ding, ding, da 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 ding, 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 ding. You know what I'm saying? Bell rung. Gunther choked out Pat McAfee. And that was all she wrote, and that was how that ended. Now, I think once or twice the crowd was chanting "You tapped out," right? They was really getting for Pat, you know what I'm saying? So they were like trolling Gunther with the "You tapped out" chants because he, tapped out at WrestleMania, the Jey Uso, to lose the World Heavyweight Championship. So it was I think I gave it an 8 out of 10 match, man, because even though I thought Pat has had better performances, not like he sucked here, but I'm saying, as far as like moves are concerned, I felt Pat has done more in other matches, but I guess because this was a different style match, we probably weren't going to get that. But anyway, 8 out of 10 match, man. I was entertained by this. It was good. You obviously knew Gunther was winning, and there was no Goldberg. Some people thought that Goldberg was going to, I think there was some rumors or whatever, that maybe Goldberg was going to come out after this match or during this match, and maybe that leads to Gunther versus Goldberg, which would be Gunther's, Gunther Goldberg, which would be Goldberg's last match, because Goldberg apparently said that he's supposed to have his last match at some point this year, you know what I'm saying? So people thought that that's maybe where that would have gotten introduced, but it didn't. So you don't got to worry about that for now, if it even happens. But anyway, by this point, I was 4-0 on predictions, man. So I was killing it. And this that started the show with the U.S. title match, the Fatal 4-Way, set the bar really high. So it was going to be tough. And so here we go. Last match of the night, and not only the last match of the night, and not only the main event, but the last time ever is how they marketed that we would see this, of us seeing this match. My childhood reborn, reliving itself once again. The two top guys in the company that I grew up on, or when I was growing up, the two top guys in the industry was these two men right here, and they main evented, man. Gave us some nostalgia, and you know what I'm saying? John Cena, the WWE champion, versus Randy Orton, you know what I'm saying? So for the undisputed WWE championship, John Cena, Randy Orton. So Randy Orton obviously makes his hometown entrance. The crowd singing his song, gave him a good reception and everything. John Cena comes out there with the black and white Tron, right? You know what I'm saying? No more bright colors and things like that. He comes down to the ring. The crowd does the John Cena sucks sing along to the theme. And he comes down to the ring, and the and the announcer, obviously our announcer's Randy, right, from St. Louis, Missouri, crowd pops for it because, that's their hometown boy, you know what I'm saying? So it announces him. And then she actually learned this time, or she learned, other than the other guy done announcer, I don't even know his name, the guy announcer on SmackDown, he didn't learn to call John Cena what he should be calling him when he announcing his guy done name. And that is not only the WWE champion, but the greatest of all time, you know what I'm saying? The last real champion, the never seen 17 WWE undisputed champion, John Cena, you know what I'm saying? So Alicia Taylor, thank you. You got it right, you know what I'm saying? So she announced him properly, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, match started out, and honestly, I'm going to say this real quick. For everybody that be like, oh my God, the match started out so slow. Because I hate when people, cause the reason why I hate when people say the match started out slow is because it makes it sound like that's a bad thing. When a match starts out slow, y'all, that does not mean it's bad or it's not good or whatever. Because guess what? If you start out fast, you can only go down. But anyway, not that some matches don't need to start out hot, but it can really only go down if you start out going ballistic. But anyway, the match, yes, started out slow, and I wanted it to, because this is the last time we're gonna see this match most likely. So that being said, and obviously nostalgia, big time superstar, big time rivalry, John Cena, Randy Orton, you know what I'm saying? Let's not goddamn put the fast forward button on this. But anyway, started out with a couple of lockups. Think Cena, what was it, like Cena extended his hand or something and ended up poking Orton in the eye, and then Orton eventually ended up poking him in the eye back. So, starting with there, but it was just, doing normal things, trading punches, normal, wrestling holds and things of that nature, normal stuff, you know what I'm saying? Which I love, because when you're so, and the crowd was fully into this match like the entire time. Not a silent moment in this match, whether it was, let's go Randy or let's go Cena or whatever they wanted to do and say, they did it all in this match. So energy was at an all-time high. Shout out St. Louis, man. That y'all brought it, man. But anyway, a notable thing that happened in the match was Cena got, when they do the punches in the corner where they're standing on the turnbuckle and punching the guy in the corner beneath, Cena was gonna do it for, when the crowd will chant along to each punch with the 1, 2, 3, 4, you know what I'm saying? And Cena ended up getting to 9, and he's a heel, so he's not gonna give the crowd the satisfaction of 10, but that allowed Orton to capitalize, and Orton ended up hitting 20. And yeah, so I just love this, man. Like, I love the old school wrestling where it's just punches, wrestling holds, and the moves, obviously, that we know these guys for. Like, I don't mind matches like that at all, because honestly, usually when it's those type of matches where it's really just a few of the guys' signature stuff and classic wrestling with the holds and the punches and stuff like that, don't mind it at all, man. Love those type of matches. Always gives off the big fight feel. I get it. We see guys, athleticism nowadays are crazy. Everybody and their mom nowadays in the wrestling is doing a moonsault, so you think that every match has to have that, but it really does not, man. But anyway, Orton did his signature stomps where he stomps on each limb, stomps on the right foot and then the left and then the right and left hand and stuff like that. He did that. Early on, I think Cena hit an attitude adjustment, his finish, and it didn't get the count. And then there was one where Cena was going to hit the attitude adjustment and got cornered with an RKO, and I think that got a 2 count as well. So they were really hitting each other's finishers. I think they hit each other's finishers like 5 times in this match, man. But it was freaking great, man. Not only nostalgia, but it's just funny because these guys don't have a whole lot of moves, so you're really just gonna see them use their finishers multiple times in this match. But anyway, attitude adjustment was hit, RKO was hit. I think another. How did the first ref bump go? There was a referee bump, but I forgot how the first one ended up happening. But anyway, I think Orton may have tried to do something. Referee bump, attitude adjustment, didn't get the job done. I think another referee may have came in. RKO to Cena got hit. Another referee came in. Then there was one where Cena hit the referee with I might be out of order here, but there was one where Cena went for the belt shot and hit the referee. And then there was an RKO to Cena. I think another ref. It was 3 refs total that came down. So the third ref might have came in there and that didn't do the job. But then there was a point in time. I'm getting out of order here, but there was a point in time where Randy Orton had hit a attitude adjustment through the announce table that had a delayed break. Like the announce table went invisible itself for a second because Cena hit like the corner of the announce table, getting his own finisher delivered to him. And the table broke a little late, but then Orton got a regular table out from underneath the ring because, the referees are out, so they're not seeing him do all this. And he hits an attitude adjustment on the Cena through a regular, table that you get from underneath the ring. And like I said, there was a referee bump that happened where Orton didn't get the count, didn't get the 3 count, and all the Nick Aldis and all the general manager for SmackDown, all the other suits and ties came out, and they all got an RKO. And the second dude who got hit with an RKO sold it like freaking crazy. He got RKO and he popped up so stiff and crazy. It was freaking great. But he had like 5 RKOs on everybody, so anybody with a suit got RKO'd. And then that led to John Cena hitting a low blow on the Randy Orton and then a belt shot to the head. And the first referee that got bumped came back in the ring and counted the 1, 2, 3, and John Cena retains. And then after the match, he got on the mic and basically said that I don't need music. I don't need all of that. I need competition. You know what I'm saying? And that he was the last real WWE champion, and this is what the last real WWE champion looks like. And that's how we went off the air. And then the only other thing that happened after this was some people said Cena got a little emotional because I saw the video. He probably was feeling it a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Because the crowd was chanting, "Thank you, Cena," because it's his last year. We know he's a heel, but it's his last year. So it's kind of hard to just boo him out of the building like that because it's not like he has like 4 more years of this. If it would be different, if he had like 2, 3 more years of this, then they probably would boo him more. But at the end of this, when the PLE was all over, they chanted, "Thank you, Cena." And Cena did the press conference. That the gimmick press conference that they do. Oh, I forgot to mention, actually, speaking of that, R-Truth stopped Randy Orton from hitting a punt kick on John Cena at one point in the match, and he got RKO. So that's what happened after he had RKO, Nick Aldis, and everybody else. R-Truth, God, because he's like Cena's #1 fan, right? So he comes in there to try to stop Orton from delivering a punt kick, and he did actually stop him, and he got RKO too, and then the finish. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting all this off the dome because, like I said, I didn't get to see this where I could take any notes. Anyway, after the thing was over, right, press conference happened, and John Cena basically warned R-Truth not to say another word to him, and then Truth, of course, said another word, and got attitude adjusted through the table that they, be sitting at when they answer the questions at the press conference. So yeah, so R-Truth got hit with both the legends, finished the night. He got hit with RKO in the match, and in the press conference got hit with an attitude adjustment by his own goddamn hero through the table. That they do the press conference on. But anyway, man, that is how Backlash 2025 went, and I was 5-0 clean sweep on predictions, man. But y'all let me know. I thought it was a fun show. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 overall. So every match was solid. Like I said, every match was either to me, the first match was great. Both Intercontinental Championship matches were solid. The Pat McAfee versus Gunther was a pretty good, entertaining match. Gunther's always killing it, no matter who's in the ring with. John Cena, Randy Orton, I think I'll give that like an 8.5, 8.5, 9. I can't decide which one. 8.5, 9, maybe 9 just for the nostalgia, and also it was just a lot of fun car wreck going on because they got to have a little bit of bells and whistles. You know what I'm saying? Just because they're not obviously gonna perform like they used to, right? So you add a little bells and whistles to make it that much more exciting. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, whether you want to see they slow down in the ring, what do you want to say that these legends like Roman, not Roman, but Punk or Cena or Randy, even if you want to say they've slowed down the ring a little bit, they're still top tier on the goddamn microphone telling stories. They're still just as captivating, and whatnot. But anyway, y'all let me know if y'all enjoyed WWE Backlash, you know what I'm saying? And what was your favorite match? I think mine was still the U.S. Championship match, but right after that, I'm definitely putting John Cena versus Randy Orton. It was no doubt better than John Cena versus Cody at WrestleMania. But, and then after that, maybe Pat McAfee Gunther would go third, and then, I guess the women's Intercontinental Championship match maybe go fourth, and then the men's would go last for me. If I had to rank it in order of best to least best or worst. But anyway, at the end of the day, what can I say? It is what it is, and what it's going to be is this project continue to come out with the content videos, the bangers over and over again for you guys, doing my thing and doing it well till we get to the top of the mountain. It's just going to go crazy from there. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell so that you know the second we drop another video, because I'm posting twice a day, even though I'm kind of pushing it right now with the time. But hit up all the socials down below. We're going to build this channel together. I love and appreciate you guys, man. That is the vibe that DJ's on.